As you can notice, we're a person down. I think your schedule shows a few more people, but unfortunately they weren't able to attend. So On and I are going to have a very cool fireside chat. We're going to be talking about Web3 gaming, which I know that is something you are very passionate about. And as I was talking about in the room out the back, I am also very passionate about. Let's talk about what we've recently seen in Web3 gaming. You know, what's in your mind? What's been the biggest kind of developments that have happened over the last kind of 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, sure. Just to briefly introduce myself and to give context to our chat. So I'm the founder and managing partner at Cointelligence Fund, and we completely focus on investing in the metaverse and blockchain-based games. And at the moment, it's just games, nothing else. And beside that, I've been a gamer all my life, and I'm still a gamer. I actually try to make sure that I play almost every day because I really, really enjoy it. And what's happening now these days is such a huge revolution. It's very difficult to actually decide where to start because it has so many different aspects. But to answer Carl's question, I would like to say that first, what happened until now and what we've seen with blockchain-based games was absolutely horrible. I mean, I can't think of any other word to describe it because not only the games themselves, most of the games themselves were absolutely horrible. And these games reminded me the games that I used to play when I was around 8, 9, 10 years old. I remember the time when I needed to change the discs and we didn't have the cloud drives and so on, and the different cassettes. I mean, that's what these games reminded me. And the second part is that everything that had to do with the blockchain, the token economics, and everything that is related to our industry was, again, absolutely horrible. But having said that, I already see a huge, huge change in the industry, especially in the last few months. And I think that the first part is that the games are becoming real good games, potentially. And the second part is that founders learned from other founders' mistakes, and they are doing things much, much better now because they already have the experience of other founders from the last 2-3 years to learn from. So that's like, in a nutshell, as a background. But I'll let you say what's on your mind with regards to that as well, please.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head there. For those of you who are familiar with bigger Web3 games, I was very, very proud to do a lot of the legals on Star Atlas when they went through their raise, and I would say they were probably one of the biggest kind of Web3 games that are currently in the market. And when we really looked at everything that happened there, it's true what you said. Everything that had happened a little bit before that, it was just terrible. It was like the games that you used to get. I'm maybe going to show my age now, but thinking SNES, Super Nintendo, Master System, it was almost embarrassing. And we really had to ask this question of, especially as a gamer and a lawyer, do you need blockchain? Does it need Web3? Or are you just looking for dare I say it, a BS fundraising model for a game that you just want to create? In which case, there's plenty of ways to finance games, especially low graphics, low energy. It's very easy to build. And it was very easy to spot games that were jumping on this bandwagon. We're a Web3 game was a covert way of just saying, we're building a token and we're financing with a token. And so it was very easy to spot the BS that came from this. But as this industry, this particular section of the industry, which I know On thinks is very cool, we're now starting to see the mirroring and the marriage of actually good technology and the actual deployment of Web3 within the games. And I think one of the things I'm going to switch and talk about on is the actual evolution of Web3 in existing game frameworks. I think that's skipped over a lot. So when we talk about Web3, I marry it into the NFT sector, and I talk about not necessarily play-to-earn games, but current games that can give you the ability to get in-app purchases, skins, things of that nature. What are you seeing, and what do you think is the next evolutionary step for things like that? So when we talk about onboarding, let's talk about legacy games that perhaps begin to adopt Web3 technology. Where do you think that's going to go in the next year or so?
So there's no doubt in my mind that everything based on NFTs for the in-game items and characters is a huge revolution. And I am saying that because I have personal pain and personal experience, painful experience of playing a game. And actually, it just happened again recently, when I played a very specific version of World of Warcraft, which is one of my favorite games all time. And there was a specific version called Season of Mastery, which was 1 year long, 12 months exactly, to do everything that you could do for a few years back then, and it was on steroids. And when the 12 months ended, and it happened a few months ago, then everything is lost, everything is gone. I spent hundreds of hours. I had an amazing time playing the game, but I want to be able to keep my character and the in-game items that I worked so hard on achieving. And obviously with other games, I can give other examples such as achievements that players are working very hard on getting. And when you are going to be able to have every part of everything I just mentioned now as an NFT, and I'm talking about different NFTs, that can be huge, potentially, for the first reason that it becomes a collectible. And as much as I'm not a big fan of collectibles, people are obsessed with collectibles. And I have to have utility such as the in-game items, but it's very important to realize that others can save these items as collectibles. The second part is that I can use these NFTs and optimize it by selling, renting, or in the long term, and that's not something that's going to happen in the next year or 2 years, it's probably going to take a few good years, I will be able to actually transfer one in-game item or character from one game to another game. That's something that is going to completely change the industry, and I am sure it's going to happen. I'm not sure it's going to happen specifically with World of Warcraft or that specific type of games, I'm hoping, but definitely it's going to happen with car racing games or games that are a bit less complicated compared to World of Warcraft. And beside that, the next part of what you mentioned, play to earn, so beside the NFTs, I do want to mention the play to earn part, and everybody is obsessed now with bashing play to earn and saying that it's all one big scam, one big Ponzi, and so on and so on. It's not. Specifically the projects that did the crypto play to earn, they either scammed or mismanaged. And I'm not going into the specifics right now which one it is. Play to earn exists for more than a decade already. I know personally because I'm using it. Because I'm using it to buy characters. Because I'm using it to buy in-game items. The biggest problem that it's against the game's rules. That's the problem. And I am doing it against the game's rules because with all due respect, I am done leveling characters from level 1 to level 60 or 70 or 80. I've done it enough before. I don't need to do it again. I'm not enjoying doing it. And if I can pay someone a few $100s, because for them it's a lot of money, for a character that they worked on for a few weeks or a few months, and it saves me the time, why not? It's not like I am doing it in order to get achievements in a wrong way. I just want to get to the stage where I can actually start playing the game, because that's when the real fun starts. So that's in a nutshell about everything related to the revolution, the way that I see it and why it's so big.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people forget this. If anybody wants to realize the relationship between I will call it native Web3 gaming. What Web3 gaming is organically geared towards, and crypto. Let's get a little audience involvement. Everybody's kind of looking a little, Thursday afternoon blues. How many of you have heard of Kraken? Let's get a show of hands. There we go. We are awake. I love it. Okay, all right. So how many of you know how Kraken started? Kraken began its life, Jesse began Kraken as a World of Warcraft exchange. That is how it began. It was changing skins, mods, everything you can, World of Warcraft is an entire world. That is how Jesse got into the exchange world. And that's where it began. So that's how organic the world is between crypto and I'll call it native Web3 gaming. And in that, I mean, we've already seen, so I've just finished working on a project in Los Angeles with a company called Artima, who have just produced every NFT for Formula One. Now that's not exciting, right? NFTs in Formula One, that's cool. I mean, it's collectible, but like you say, you have to be a fan. What's really exciting is the Web3 gaming element that's been brought out. And if you think of it in this context, now you can go and purchase official Formula One vehicle parts. You can collect your different parts and you can build your own race car. And you can physically create your own digital Web3 Formula One racing team. Think of that for a second. You're officially buying parts from Formula One, racing in official Formula One teams, and you have all of the power that's attached with that and all of its Web3 and NFT-based technology. Now that's really freaking cool. I think that's really cool.
It's huge.
Yeah. And then we now know companies like H&M and some others as well are starting to let you buy online clothing, which was originally designed for the metaverse, but now it's being transferred to games. So in future, I'll be able to take something I buy online at H&M and I can wear it, and then you can catch me wearing this in a handful of different games. I know games like PUBG have explored things like that as well. So the reality is, and the reason I'm raising this is because when we talk about onboarding, it's really, the technology's already here, but what's happening now is worlds are starting to collide. So stuff I buy in the real world, I'll be able to use in games. People that have worked in games for years have begun to grow into the crypto industry. And On raised a really good point, actually. A lot of companies that just stuck a crypto token in to reward players didn't do very well. I think it's a pretty fair statement. There were exceptions, but for the most part, they didn't do very well. So, in your experience, being a fellow gamer, maybe you could talk a little bit about, how do companies that are in the Web3 space get engagement with players without necessarily just dumping a token in or making it play to earn?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Obviously, it's very well known in the industry that the main part of marketing is based on the community. Most marketing efforts will not work with crypto projects similar to traditional projects. And beside the fact that you really have to build a community, to manage a community, and what I just said right now is very, very, it's a real problem. It's super, super difficult to do it. And everybody wants to do it. And you can't fake anything. Because if you fake something, if you just bullshit, if you just sell your community or your potential community members, many of them will know it. And as soon as some of them will start talking about it, then you're in a huge problem. So you can't fake almost anything. Again, saying that, considering the market situation and considering that most of the things are fake in our industry, and unfortunately I'm saying it, with the communities, it's different in many, many parts. And I would say that the second part is definitely to think about how to do the best to onboard the players. And if you have a good game, it will just become organic. But having said that, it is very, very important to clarify. There's no product or service in the world that is marketing itself beside scams. It just doesn't work. If you just build it, people will come. I hear this sentence sometimes from founders. They can just close shop immediately. It doesn't exist. You have to do marketing, you have to do sales, you have to do biz dev. But if you do it based on a good service or a good product, in this case a good game, then the mix can become huge in a pretty short time. So these are the basics, the way that I see it.
Yeah, 100%. The gaming industry is unique because it's like crypto. It's agnostic. It happens all over the world. I was in the Philippines, and we were talking about it. I was in the Philippines a couple of months ago. Gaming is huge. It is a lifestyle in locations like the Philippines. Much like, I would argue, crypto is a lifestyle in some various jurisdictions. And I think, just very briefly touching on it from a legal perspective, always being the lawyer in the room, there's some safety elements that people have to watch out for. And Web3 gaming, much like any other new technology, it is still relatively new, has an element of scams, misdirection, all involved in it. So if you're getting involved in Web3 gaming, and on you as an investor as well as a fund, my advice in that respect is, do some serious due diligence. For the one time in your life, grab a geek, talk to a gaming geek about what it is and what a game's trying to achieve, and you'll actually get some good inside info. That's probably one of the best ways to stay safe. Maybe in the last 30 seconds, your touch piece on staying safe, for people looking to get into Web3 gaming.
Yeah, so staying safe means, first, do your own due diligence with regards to everything. Don't trust anyone else. Don't trust any of the big names, investors out there, because many of them are just throwing away money left and right without even doing due diligence themselves, because they can allow themselves to do it. And I would say that the second part of my answer would be review everything. Don't think that if you're talking to founders that they're telling you the truth. First of all, in our industry, it happens too often that founders are lying. And in some cases, it's not even about lying. It's about them giving you an answer when they are wrong, but they don't know that they are wrong. They don't even know that they mislead you, because everything in our industry is so new. When I'm being approached and being called a crypto expert, for example, I always respond, I'm not an expert. Nobody can be an expert in our industry because it's too young to have experts. And we're all learning as we go all the time. So do the due diligence, check everything yourself, and basically don't believe anything you hear, and ask to see physically everything that you heard about.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for what turned into what I think was a pretty awesome fireside chat. We're going to hand over now to, I think we're going over to a pitch competition, but the team looks like they're organizing some stuff. There's also going to be a change of MC, I think, as well. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to the whole AIBC and the Sigma team for putting this together. It's great to be back in Malta, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you for listening.